Hey everybody, happy Friday all across Alberta. Look at this. We got this thing there. Had to use my computer. No handouts. I forgot the handouts. So we tried to print them here, but of course the printer has no ink. Like, what is up with that, man? Hey, happy Friday. It's our last session all across Alberta, Grand Prairie to High River and all points in between, and to all of the good people of High River. Although probably not very many participants today in High River as we observe the 1-year anniversary of the tragedy that struck that community in the surrounding area. And many of you sending me notes of reflection this morning. And I thank you for doing that. I was honored that you would reach out and send me notes as you reflected. And we're with you. We support you. And we are inspired by you and the incredible resiliency that you've shown in this difficult and challenging and unimaginable. I can't even imagine. Many still not in their homes, never will go back to their homes. But rebuilding the community, rebuilding their lives, and acting as a beacon of hope. So on this 1-year anniversary, we stand with you, High River, and the citizens of the surrounding area. Don't forget, like I challenged you in the coaching session, go. And you know what? I appreciate many of you send me emails saying, send me the schedule, Ian. I'm going to High River sometime this summer. I'm going to attend a festival. I'm going to check out the shops. I'm going to go and eat in a restaurant. I'm going to go to High River. So we're going to get that information from Caitlin and the High River Committee and get that out to you in the next few days so that you can support them. And then I'll introduce you to the committee in High River, and they come and have a cup of coffee with you, or at least welcome you to town as you drive through or whatever. It'd be really cool. Community builders coming together. All right, what are we doing today? We're talking about the last competency of today's community builder. You, the community builder, the informal leader that makes things happen in the community. You don't have a title necessarily. Maybe you do. But you're a community builder. You're the catalyst. You're the convener. You're the agent of change. You're the big picture systems thinker. You're the catalyst for responsibility. And you have a commitment to continuous improvement. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do that, I got a couple things. First of all, Michael, who happened to be from High River, sent me an email last night. He said, Ian, I love the stuff on pride. And I especially love the stuff of the tips you gave on how to build community pride, and most specifically, number 4. And because that email came out yesterday, you may not have gotten a chance to open it yet. We gave you a lot of emails this week on pride. Individual pride, organizational pride, how you can build pride as a leader. What are you going to give somebody that is around you or with you or works with you something to be proud of? And then we talked yesterday about building community pride. And if you don't remember, or if you haven't seen it yet, number 4 is keep the place clean. Keep the place clean. Because all studies show cleaner, well kept, well maintained, pride. Filthy, dirty, nobody cares anyway. It's all a piece of crap, is the attitude. We also know that cleaner equals safer because it reduces crime. Read all of what Rudolph Giuliani did down in the States in New York. In Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point, he speaks to that. Cleaning up the subway, reduce crime. Well, Michael sent me a note saying, hey, Ian, really emphasize that point of keeping things clean and how community builders, and he said specifically in High River, but I think this probably could be the case in any community. Hey, man, if you see somebody's yard in an abandoned home, because that's in some situations in High River, that's the case, and the grass is a foot tall, just go over and mow it. Just mow it. And now, if somebody lives there, you might ask their permission before you go mowing their lawn. But I think it's the spirit of what he was getting at. The spirit of what he was getting at is it's all of our responsibility to keep the place clean. Yeah, but what happens if that guy starts to take advantage of me, man, and then just expects me to mow his lawn? Well, I don't know about all that. I just know this. I think Michael's point was Let's all do our part and keep the place clean. And he was specifically throwing out the challenge to the participants of the Becoming a Community Builder program to what can we do to clean up the place. And so, Michael, I'm going to throw back a challenge to you, brother, and I'll send this to you in email as well. Be the organizer of that. Get some people rallied, and let's go clean things up. So it's funny, because I had this experience. Jeff, I think you've heard this story. When I used to help run that big hotel casino, the city wasn't keeping the place clean. Not our building was clean, and the area around our building, the sidewalks, we kept them shiny. They looked like glass. But there was a special thing that you wouldn't slip on it, but it literally looked like glass. It was so cool. But across the street was junk. It looked like crap. So I decided that we were going to paint all the curbs in downtown, in the downtown that I was in. We were going to paint all the curbs. And then I worked with the local sheriff. To bring inmates to come and clean all the buildings in downtown, which probably wasn't appropriate, but they weren't doing anything. So I figured, come on down, let's clean the place up. And we literally, for a number of years, just kept the downtown clean that way. Now, I'm not advocating that prisoners should be doing that. I don't know. That's a whole nother discussion, way above my pay grade. But the point was, we painted the sidewalk, the curb, the yellow, the red, the white lines. We painted all that, all around downtown. Private company painting all that. And people would always say, who painted these lines? And we never told anybody, because I knew we'd get in trouble. Because you know what? My economic livelihood was at stake from the cleanliness of the downtown core. And I couldn't afford for people to think that the downtown core was dirty, because then they wouldn't think it was safe. And if they didn't think it was safe, they wouldn't walk over to our place. And if they didn't walk over to our place, then the maids didn't get paid, and the bellman didn't get paid, and the dishwasher didn't get paid. But we kept it clean. And if the city didn't have money to paint it, we painted it. And then we advocated with them to take care of that, but in the meantime, we painted it. Now, you might disagree with me on all this. I don't care. But pride, Michael's right. Pride comes when the place looks good. You know, here's the other thing, Mr. Business Owner, Mrs. Business Owner. When you keep the front of your shop looking sharp, and everybody in town does that, everybody makes a commitment to that, pride. Safe, clean. People spend more money. Scientific proven fact. Social science fact. All right. Commitments. Side note, before we get into continuous improvement, commitments have been amazing. I mean, seriously, amazing commitments. Youth programs, senior programs, things for animals, things for high school students, just amazing commitments. And not to be disparaging to the 2013 class. I love you, 2013 class. But you guys have stepped it up to a whole nother level. Not necessarily the type of commitments, but the number of them. The number of, I'm going to go get something done in my community kind of commitments. Amazing. Also, a number of commitments that are very, like, to the heart. I didn't get the permission of this lady to say who made the commitment, so I won't say who made this commitment. But a lady made a commitment. She was very honest. She said, you know what? I've been coming in and out of my house for 10 years, and I have no idea who my neighbors are. That's what she said, Jeff. But you know what? I've been there. I understand that. You know who they are, but you don't know them. She committed to getting to know them this summer, to going out of her way to go and proactively reach out to those neighbors and solidify a relationship with the people around her. That's community building right there. That's community capacity building right there. That's neighborhood capacity building. So whether you're opening a dog park, or you're going to get to know your neighbor, or you're going to make a commitment to your kids or your spouse, if you haven't made that commitment, still a chance to do so, because we're coming to town. We're coming to your town next week for the big celebrations. The big celebrations, not the graduation. Be clear, not the graduation, the celebration. Because some of you, it's a self-paced program. So whether you got your commitment in and you've been following along religiously, or others of you have been doing it as you can and don't have your commitment in, it doesn't matter. Just come to the celebration. In some places there's food and activity and all kinds of things, and we're going to be doing a whirlwind tour next week from place to place to place. We're going to be recognizing people, celebrating, handing out some certificates, going to give you a chance to be on camera, take your picture, all that kind of stuff. We're just celebrating the hundreds up to 11. We have 1,184. So it's 1,200. We got 1,200 participants across the province right now, and we're going to celebrate you all next week. We're coming to your community to woot woot, as my kids would say, pump it up. I want to celebrate these kids. Check out this video, and then we come back, we'll get going on the next competency. Check out these kids in Chestermere, the Yell group, youth group in Chestermere, phenomenal program. I got a chance to meet some of these kids. Check out what they have committed to, and they even created a video to tell all of you across the province what they're doing. Hit it, Jeff.
Hi, we're Yell Youth and Creating Lasting Leadership, and this is our community.
Recently, in the last month, we organized the Peace Walks. This Peace Walks was all organized by us, and it's all going towards the Kids' Health Fund. We chose this charity ourselves because we thought it would be the best for anti-bullying, which is what this whole Peace Walk is about. Anti-racism, anti-bullying. Jerry's going to explain to you what kind of the Kids' Health Fund is and what we're doing.
Kids Help Phone is basically an organization that kids can phone if they're getting bullied or feel they're getting bullied or feel alone at any time, 24 hours, and it's anonymous, so your parents won't know and they won't know who you are.
We raised just over $200, and our commitment is to raise $500. So by the end of the summer, we want to be able to raise $500.
We've raised over $200 during a bake sale.
And generally, we'd go on hiatus over the summer, but instead we're going to fill the gaps with the lemonade stand and the car wash.
Working at the car wash, yeah.
We'd also like to take time to thank Ian Hill and Community Builder for giving us this opportunity.
And we really hope we raise our goal of $500 for the Kids Health Fund.
Nice.
Well, that was awesome, and I love that song, Car Wash, right? How about those kids? And the video was awesome. Good job, kids, and us converting it. I had a little challenge hearing it, maybe. But basically, these kids of the Yell group have made a commitment to raise $500 for an anti-bullying initiative that's in their community. They've already raised $200. They've already raised $200, and they're doing it through, as you heard, car washes and other things, and they're going to raise $500. So what's your commitment? These kids are going to raise $500 and donate it. They're going to take them time the rest of this June and into the summer. They're going to, and their commitment, if you saw it at the air, that they will commit to raising $500 before the end of the summer. You know what I'd love to do? I'd love for you to call the town of Chestermere and ask for Patty. Or somebody. Yeah, ask for Patty. You could ask for Patty. Patty's like, what? Ask for Patty, because I think she knows how to get a hold of the Yell group. You call town of Chestermere, ask for Patty, ask for an address, and send them $10 check. Send them a check for $10. Send them a check for $25. Tell them that we support what the kids of Chestermere are doing. Just send them $10, $25. And let's try to get that 500 to 750, maybe even 1,000, right? All of us send them $10. So here's my point. If those kids can do that, what are we going to do? So those of you that have not made a commitment, please. One last thought on commitment. Oh, and just congratulations to the kids, right, Jeff? Just congratulations. Well done, young ladies, young gentlemen. Well done. And good video as well. I talked to a woman last night, Jeff, who is making a commitment to help with poverty in her community. But she's smart. She's going to do the research first, right? That's what she's doing. She's doing the research first to find out the very specific area that she will help in. And so her commitment is to do the research. I'm going to go learn more so I can find out how I can be of help over the next 60 days. So whatever your commitment is, the kids, the dog park, the youth programs, the library, the splash pad, awesome. the get to know your neighbor, the learn more about a subject so you know how to volunteer, awesome. Just make your commitment if you haven't made one yet, because that's the determining factor of whether you get a certificate of completion or a certificate of participation. All right, plenty of that. Let's move on. The last competency of today's effective leader in these changing times, the last competency of today's effective leader, a commitment to continuous improvement. A commitment to continuous improvement. That means that today's effective leader has systems, processes, and strategies to ensure that we're getting better even though it ain't broke. We're working off of the idea here that we are proactively and holistically improving ourselves, our organization, or our community before we need to. You see, usually we improve ourselves, our community, or our organization when there's a crisis, when there's a problem, when there's a challenge, when there's an issue, when some kid gets hurt in a neighborhood where kids don't get hurt, where there's a crash where there's usually not a crash, both literally and figuratively. We usually, as human beings, don't continuously improve. But here's the funny thing, look at the top of that. Once you think you've arrived, you've already started your descent. Once you think you've arrived, you've already started your descent. And whether that's conceit, or whether that's arrogance, or whether that's laziness, I don't know what it is, but we as human beings, we get complacent. And I'm not just talking about you personally, I'm talking about your business, or I'm talking about your community. Helen Keller said it best. She said that there was no place on earth or no place in the existence of man where things stay the same. No place. Look what I wrote here. It says, it is a lie to think that things stay the same. It is a lie to think that things stay the same is the ideal. There is no safety and security in things staying the same. There is only safety and security in learning to adapt, overcome, and continuously improving. If one can establish continuously improving as a part of their being, as a part of the culture within their organization, or as a part of the culture of the community, they dramatically increase their chances of security. What? You see, there's no safety and security in things staying status quo. There's only safety and security in being able to adapt and overcome. Innovation and creativity only when we're in crisis, or innovation and creativity all the time? Innovation and creativity every day. I want to give a big shout out to the Durham region of Ontario. Woot woot! Yes, Oshawa, the Schwa, Idea City. That's the big campaign now in the Schwa. Idea City, baby. Idea City. Oshawa and the Durham region want to be known as Idea City. That we're always coming up, citizens are coming up with great ideas. Carrie King is her name. She's with tourism and does a lot of community building. She's leading this initiative. Idea City. That's pretty cool. Huh? Let's just get the whole town always talking about good ideas. Good ideas, good ideas. Let's have forums and workshops and TED Talks. They're doing their own little TED Talk. It's not called TED Talk, but they're doing their own little talk. Let's bring out the ideas, 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 ideas. Let's crowdsource building a better community. We'll talk about that in just a second. So where does all this come from? Now, you've been to the workshops that talked about continuous improvement. I've been to the workshops that talked about continuous improvement. You've done Lean Sigma 6, whatever, if you're in manufacturing or gas and oil or whatever. You've heard this. But where does it really come from? And those of you that aren't so familiar with it, let me give you a little history lesson on where this whole concept of fixing something before it's broken, of making yourself better when no one's pressuring you to, of finding out what the problems are before somebody complains. The whole concept of continuous improvement. Where does it come from? Well, let me tell you. It comes from a guy named Deming. You see, there was this guy, this consultant, this business guru, this statistician, this guy Deming. And when World War II ended, this guy Deming was living in the States. And he got a phone call from the United States government. Hello, Mr. Deming. Hello, it's Mr. Deming. Yes, we know, we called you. Yes, I'm here. What can I do for you? Mr. Deming, you are a guru in manufacturing and other sectors, and we want you to go to Japan. 1946. Yeah, exactly. Be like, really? We'd like you to go to Japan. What would you like me to do in Japan? We would like you to rebuild the manufacturing sector of Japan because it has been destroyed by all the bombs that all of us dropped on Japan. Okay, you want me to go there? Yes, we do. Because if we don't rebuild their manufacturing sector, we are going to be caring for them for a long, long time. And we, the allies, are not excited about doing that. So get over there, get them back to work, get their factories up and running again, and get their thing rolling. Would you please? Yes, I will. So off goes Deming to Japan, and he sits down, and he gets to know the culture. So he sees all these buildings, they're all destroyed. He sees the people in despair who are eager to rebuild, but still, I mean, come on. They're in despair. And he starts to learn the culture, the people, the legacy, the history. And he comes to find this phenomenon called Kaizen or Kaizen. Now it's funny, my wife, you guys have met Gina. She's a Latina. Gina's Latina. I don't know if you knew that. Latina. And she don't speak Spanish. She speaks Japanese. Like, what? Like the first day we ever went out, I took her to a Japanese restaurant, and she just knocked out Japanese. It was like, whoa. I mean, she ordered and talked to the guy. She's like, da, da, ba, da, da, ba, da, da, da. It was amazing. So the next night, yeah, I was in love. The next night, we went on another date. And we went to a Mexican restaurant. And her last name is Lopez. So I just waited. I was like, go ahead. She's like, I don't speak Mexican. I don't speak Spanish. I was like, what? She's like, nope, I just speak Japanese. Anyways, I digress. So whether it's Kaizen, Gina will, next time she's on air, she'll correct me. But like that's anything new. But the concept was this. The concept was that you always got better. That was true enlightenment, that was true fundamental to their culture, was that if you wanted to be held in high regard, you would continuously improve. Now, when I heard that, I started doing some research on legacy cultures. Now, what's a legacy culture? That's a culture that's been around a long time. And you know what I found? They all had a word for that. They all referred to it in some way or another, that it was a piece of who they were. The Hebrew culture sojourning through life. I'm going to continue to improve. The ancient Greek culture, earte, this idea that mind, body, and soul would continue to improve till the day I died. And you know what's funny? Let's look at Western culture. In Western culture, what's our attitude? In Western culture, our attitude is this. I will work my butt off, and then I'll get to a point where I'll make it. Or I'll hit the lottery and then I'll make it. I'll have a YouTube viral go video and I'll make it. The thing that I tinker with in my garage, I'll sell a bunch of them and I'll make it. I'll make it. And then I won't ever have to do anything again. It's the antithesis of what these legacy societies teach us. Well, why does that matter? Well, because we need to continuously improve. Because the world around us is ever changing. And because change and progress are indelibly intertwined. So if you want to be a community builder, you have strategies, processes, and systems that you can deploy to ensure that what it is you're involved in is continuously relevant, is continuously meaningful, is continuously impactful, and that you're fixing it even though it's not broken, that you're figuring out the complaints before they've been heard, that you're cleaning that light the day before it gets dirty and is noticeably dirty. Continuous improvement. Imagine if a community was always out in front of the group, What if a community was always trying to find a way to win, always trying to find a way to figure it out, always trying to innovate and create? What if it was just a part of their being? Deming said this, holy cow, this is who they are as a people. I don't have to teach it. What if we took that concept and brought it into business? What if we innovated and created the processes and systems within in the organization before the customer asked for something new? What if we retooled the way we were handling employees before the employees complained? What if we took our manufacturing processes and regularly improved on them to ensure that we never got behind the 8 ball? Because once you find out that you're lacking, it's a little too late when it comes to business. Isn't that true, Jeff? Kind of like a relationship. When your wife walks in and says she's done, it's a little too late to start begging. I know. Trust me. I'm aware. There's a whole bunch of work that has to happen after that. Where if I would have just been continuously improving, Gina wouldn't have had to say that how many every year, 13 years ago or whatever it was. What's my point? My point is that's where it came from. And why is that important today? Because what culture, it's a part of their being, whether it's the Hebrews, the ancient Greeks, and the like, Japanese, whoever. But is it a part of our culture within ourselves personally, our personal culture? Is it a part of our organization's culture? Is it a part of our community culture? Frankly, is it a part of our national culture that we get better, we get better, we get better? Now, I'm working off of this stupid laptop today, so work with me. Listen to what Deming said that I thought was so cool. It's not necessary to change. Survival is not mandatory. It's not necessary to change. Survival's not mandatory. So why don't we continuously improve? Because everything I just said makes sense. You know it, and I know it intuitively. It's common sense. It's common sense. Fact is, even the ancient scriptures of days gone by said, don't be complacent. Don't be lazy. Don't let the weeds grow up. Don't let the snow pile up. Don't let the thistles come. You got to continually care for things and move yourself forward. So then why don't we today? Well, number one, because of what I just said, it's not part of our culture. Our culture has now become, let me just make it. I'm going to make it and then I'll never have to do anything again. And there is no example anywhere on God's green earth or in the cosmos that that is the case. That you can get to a place and then things stay exactly the same. That's a lie. And many of us have bought into that lie. So that's number one. Number two, it takes effort. It takes effort to continuously improve. Number three, we don't have the systems in place, right? We had a whole bunch of discussion a few weeks ago about systems. So we don't have systems in place to continuously improve. Number four, we don't tap into the collective intelligence. You say, what do you mean? The collective intelligence. In other words, at some point I get tapped out. I can only have so many good ideas. At some point I come to the end of my creativity or the end of my skill set. It's like becoming a community builder. You know, there will be a time here in the very near future perhaps where we're done with becoming a community builder. I mean, frankly, we've been at it a year now. And we only set out to prove something, and I think we've proven it, that regular people can solve their own problems, take on their own challenges when equipped. And when you make an all-out commitment to equipping informal leaders of a community, good things happen. We've proven that. Period. We've proven that. And we've also proven that there's a whole bunch of Albertans that want to be equipped. Now, if we ever do becoming a community builder again, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But I'd be satisfied now to just say we're done. Because we're only trying to prove an emerging practice. But one reason we don't continuously improve is because nobody's out there on that leading edge. Because it's not a process, it's not a system. And lastly, I think one reason we don't continuously improve is a lot like the crabs in the bucket. Because every time somebody seeks to try to do something a little bit better, they get beat up. Every time a crab tries to climb out of that bucket, the other crabs grab a hold and pull him back down, or her back down. And I think there's a lot of truth to that in our communities. A town councilor stands up and says, I'm going to try this new initiative, and he just gets blasted. Or somebody in the community wants to do something a little bit different than they've done it before, and all the old timers just blast that guy or that gal. So one reason we don't continuously improve, it's not culturally appropriate to continuously improve. See the contrast? In those ancient cultures, it was culturally appropriate. Actually, it was culturally, not only culturally appropriate, it was actually deemed by the culture to be the status quo. Go continuously improve. Go make yourself better. Whereas here, it's like, don't try to make anything better. Stop making waves. Isn't that funny, Jeff? Stop making waves. So what I'm going to try to do over the next couple weeks, because even though I'm coming to your town next week, there'll still be an email or two after that. Because we got 3 weeks, right? But we're going to come to your town next week. So over the couple of weeks, what I'm going to try to do is give you some ways to continuously improve. Some tangible tools to help you continuously improve. And I think the first tangible tool is planning. 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 Do you know how to be a catalyst for a great plan? Do you have in your toolkit ways to create a sustainability plan if that's in your purview? Or to problem solve? In other words, one of the reasons that we don't continuously improve is because at some point we come to the end of ourselves. Like I'm a starter, like I said a moment ago. I come to the end of myself. As soon as you ask me to maintain something and do it for longer than 24 months or 3 years, I'm done. I'm a starter. I'm not a maintainer. I'm not a finisher. I'm a starter. So knowing my own skill set, I know that I'm not going to, after a couple of years, someone else needs to run it, not me, because my skill set's done. So without the ability to draw ideas from other people and other stakeholders, there is a strong likelihood that things won't continuously improve. If you're a business owner or a general manager, you're not going to come up with every great idea, man. That's not going to work. You've got to have a way to draw ideas out of your people. If you're a department head or a CAO of a community, you've got to have ways to draw ideas out of your people, and you've got to be able to draw ideas out of your citizenry. That's why I'm so proud of what they're doing in the Schwa. Idea City. Awesome. And there's a whole bunch of people around the world that get that because they're crowdsourcing now, right? Getting everybody's ideas to try to solve something. Collaborative engineering to try to get something done. You know what I call it? I call it tapping into the collective intelligence. But ultimately, it's about building good plans. So do you have a way to build good plans? It is the bedrock, a foundational pillar of continuously improving. Look at what Socrates says. He said, by far the greatest, most admirable form of wisdom is that needed to plan human communities. And I don't just think he meant roads and aqueducts and bridges. I think he meant the whole culture of a community. Effective planning is critical. Now I call it, and we're going to talk about it in a minute, the engagement approach to planning. How do I get more people involved? How do I use the planning process not only to gain buy-in, but even more importantly, to create awesome plans? I can kill a lot of different birds with an engagement approach to planning. Have a great plan, but also get tremendous buy-in, build self-esteem, self-worth. So look at this. Effective planning is critical. 5 reasons that you may not have considered. When I involve other people in the planning process, number 1, there's a sense of self-determination. If I create a sense of self-determination, people are more willing to take ownership. You stop and think about when somebody else takes care of me, when somebody else gives me my food, when somebody else gives me everything, I'm going to sit back and let them do so. It's human nature. But when I'm involved in the process, when I'm involved in the activity, when somebody asks my opinion, when I'm asked to help build the plan, I'm more likely to carry it out. Self-determination. Secondly, self-direction. I then will begin to build plans myself. I then will begin to set direction myself. People always talk about apathy in a community. Usually communities are apathetic because those people who are apathetic feel like what they say and what they do doesn't going to make a difference anyways. So why should I get involved? the beauty of a community engagement or stakeholder engagement, which is different than stakeholder consensus, or stakeholder consultation. Stakeholder consultation is, what did you think of what we already built or what we already decided on? What do you think? That's different than help us figure out what we're going to do. That's community engagement or stakeholder engagement within a company or a neighborhood or whatever. So we know it's a user-driven society. We've talked about that before. So self-direction or self-determination and self-reliance come from engaging people in the planning process. Number 3, usually the plans that they come up with are cheaper. Why? Because they're the closest to the problem. They know the operation. If you're in business and you have some guys and gals that have been in your organization for 10, 15, maybe even 20 years, their operational insight and vocational expertise is invaluable. 10,000 hours is what it takes to get a PhD. So if you're running a town or you're running a city and you have a guy that's been working in public works for 10 years, he's got 10,000 hours. He's got a PhD in public works. If you run I know some of you run hotels that are taking this program. You run your Super 8, you run your whatever. You run your Super 8 or you run your whatever. I don't know any brands anymore. I'm just thinking Rimby Super 8 right now. You know that housekeeper who's been cleaning rooms for 10 years, she's got a PhD in cleaning rooms. So your plans are probably going to be cheaper because they'll be more efficient and more effective. Number 4, effective engagement approach to planning, something you may not have considered, builds pride. What's that? Yeah, we just got done talking about all kinds of pride. But when I help build the plan and then I go execute the plan, I feel proud of what I've done. I feel proud of what I've done. And then finally, they're more likely to work. They're more likely to work when I engage the people who are going to be involved. Not just because they have the insight and the wisdom, not just because they have the operational expertise, not just because they're the ones closest to the problem, but also this: they're less likely to sabotage the whole works. Now, I'm not being disparaging, but how many of you have had a plan shoved down your throat? How many of you have had a plan ramrodded through? How many of you have been told not only what you're going to do, but exactly how you're going to do it? No, that doesn't feel good to us. So whether somebody openly opposes the plan or attitudinally opposes the plan, effective engagement approach to planning does those 5 things that you may not have considered. Pride, self-determination, self-reliance, cheaper, more efficient, more effective, and work better. All right, to be clear, what's a plan? A list of actions arranged in whatever sequence is thought likely to achieve an objective. Now, I know that somebody out there right now is saying, oh my gosh, after 15 weeks, I can't believe he's treating us like children. Well, the only reason I write that and say that, or I didn't write it, but I quote John here, is because I think we forget what a plan is. Like we get so overly complicated that we forget. It's just a list of actions arranged in whatever sequence is thought likely to achieve an objective. That's the simplicity of it. What do we need to do to get from here to there? That's it. What do we need to do to get from here to there? Simplicity of the plan. Don't make it overly complicated. So, 2 things I got to define. Collective intelligence. That means as the community builder, I look out over the sea of people. As the community builder, I look out over the sea of people. Now, whether the sea of people is the 50,000 people in my community, or I look out of the sea of people and it's the 100 people I supervise, or I look out over the sea of people and it's the people within the 5 cubicles that I work with, or the 7 volunteers that help me run the canteen. Whatever the sea of people is, as I look out over the sea of people, what do I observe? Well, hopefully what you observe is rare and unique creatures. Remember, we've talked about that. 70 billion people have lived on a planet. Nobody like them and nobody like you. They have life experience. They have insight. They have wisdom. They have talent. They have knowledge. How do I get the best of their ideas? How do I get the best of their wisdom, the best of their insight? How do I, as we've talked about before, how do I get all those arrows? How do I get all those arrows? Wow, that was horrible. How do I get all the arrows going in the same direction? Well, one way I get all those arrows going in the same direction is I tap into their collective intelligence. I admit that I'm not the smartest guy in the room or the smartest gal in the room. And I say, I need your insight, I need your wisdom, I need your talent, I need your experiences. You cannot come up with the solution to solve the most complex and difficult problems we face today. We must tap into the collective intelligence. And as a community, we must have systems and processes to do that. As an organization, we must have systems and processes to do that. And as an individual, I must have systems and processes to do that. So over the next 3 weeks, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of ways that you can tap into the collective intelligence. If you're an elected official watching right now, how are you going to be Idea City or Idea Town? The only way you're going to do that is to get ideas coming from hundreds of citizens, thousands of citizens. Yeah, but that's craziness, man. The inmates will be running in the asylum. Trust me, I'm going to give you a system of how to tap into the thoughts, ideas, and the concerns. Prioritize them. Set up groups to solve them, take the best of them, and implement them. And that'll be in a week or two. I'll give you a good training on that. But for now, I want you to just start thinking of that collective intelligence. How do I get everybody's insight? How do I get everybody's wisdom? You know why I had success in business, in the casino industry? I wasn't very bright, but I figured out a way to get 1,000 people to start thinking about increasing revenue, decreasing expenses, and improving guest service. I just needed one of the 1,000 people to come up with a good idea to increase revenue, decrease expenses, improve guest service. What if we had 33 million people trying to figure out an idea of how we could decrease homelessness, reduce poverty, increase the graduation rate, reduce drug use? I mean, what if we engaged 33 million people at that? Don't you think we'd come up with a good idea? Come on, man. In today's day and age, and more people are getting at. But for it to really work, you better have a system and a process to do so. It's so important today because the problems are too complex, too multifaceted, and too challenging for any one person to handle. So I don't need to come up with a great idea to continuously improve. I need to have a system to tap into the collective intelligence of many to continuously improve. So I want you to turn your page, because I'm going to give you a system right now. You know, it would have been a lot easier if this was one of those touchscreen computers. Who has my touchscreen computer today? My daughter. At camp. Anyways. Okay. So I want to give you a way that you can put in your toolkit as a community builder, right? You're a community builder, which means that you can drop into a room and do just about anything. You're not Superman or Superwoman. You're just equipped with the right tools, like Archimedes. And one of the tools you need to have in your toolkit is a way to get ideas from people and tap into the collective intelligence. If you're planning for a year, sow some rice. If you're planning for a decade, plant some trees. If you're planning for a lifetime, educate people. So I'm going to educate you now and give you a system for tapping into collective intelligence. Now, to some of you, you'll say, oh, this is kind of like brainstorming. There's some nuances here. So before you shut me off and say this is like brainstorming, just please go along with me. So I'm with a group of 5 or 6 people. We're on a committee. I'm in a group of 5 or 6 people. We work in a company. I'm with a group of 5 or 6 people or more. And I got to figure out a way to get the best of their ideas out. This is the way that I would suggest. So the simple first step is this. We all agree and define the objective. We all agree and define the objective. So where are we trying to get to? Where are we trying to get to? Is that in the shot? Because I can't see because that's in the way. Where are we trying to get to? Remember, we talked about this. And where are we at today? Courageous conversation. Remember that? So the first thing we do is agree on why we're all sitting here and talking. The objective. The objective. Then we agree that we're going to collect some ideas. Oh, I told you it's brainstorming. I knew it was coming. Just listen. And we're going to take 20 minutes. And all we're going to do is throw out ideas of how to get to that objective. All we're going to do is throw out ideas to get to that objective for 20 minutes. And we're just going to list ideas and list ideas and put an idea 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 and put an idea. That's all we're going to do. And at the end of the 20 minutes, we'll stop the bus. We'll say we're done with the ideas. It should just be free-flowing. Then, and this is important, because normally what happens then is we start picking those ideas apart. Normally what happens then when we're trying to tap into the collective intelligence is we start picking everybody apart. And we start saying to ourselves, let's say if I gave an idea, I start saying to myself, whoa, I feel really vulnerable. My idea is now up on that board and these other 6 people are going to take pot shots at my idea. I feel really vulnerable. And all you need is to do that about 1 time and get your idea picked apart. And the next time there's the brainstorming session, you don't say anything. That's another reason why we don't continuously improve. So instead, we're going to combine and refine. Before we talk about anybody's idea, before we beat up anybody's idea, before we question anybody's idea, we're going to combine and refine the like ideas. So we're going to combine and refine those 2. We're going to combine and refine these 3. We're going to combine and refine those 2. We're going to combine and refine. Why are we going to do that? To depersonalize any one person's idea. Now, that doesn't mean we don't want to celebrate people who come up with great ideas. It just means that we don't want to expose people who are reluctant to talk because they're afraid they're going to get shot down. So instead, we combine and refine. And as we combine and refine, then we can talk about, what did you mean? Explain that thing. How does that work? Because now we've combined the like ideas. Because there will be some ideas that are similar. You combine them, and then you start to talk them out. Once we've combined and refined, then we can assess and analyze the effects of those things. Effect being good, bad, right, wrong, moves us forward, takes us a step back, whatever. We can, once we've combined and refined, then we as a group can do some assessment and some analysis, which usually sounds like this: what a dumb idea. Right, Jeff? That's often the assessment. Or this. Oh, yeah, right, we're going to do that. That's typically the assessment and analysis. Well, by combining and refining, we depersonalize. Then, once we've combined and refined, then we can prioritize. We can prioritize. And we had a circle, right? We can prioritize. And we can rank the list, the best ideas and courses of action, or best ideas. Then the final step is, it's very simple. What are we going to do? Then we just organize the action steps, right? That's the plan. So all of this information gets you to a place where you can now lay out sequentially, because, right, that's a plan. A plan is just a list of activities or actions sequenced in a way that's most likely to get to the objective. So by tapping into the collective intelligence, you are significantly more likely to build a good plan. And you know, watch this. Because I allowed them to tell me the actions, the action steps, and the timeline, whose plan did it just become? Whose plan did it just become, Jeff? Yeah, your plan, their plan. It just became their plan. And look at what I did. All I did was be the catalyst for the conversation. All I did was provide the framework for the conversation, the process for the conversation, the system. It was the people that gave me the insight, the wisdom. Now here's funny, and this somebody's going to get mad at me when I say this. So instead of doing what I just described, here's what often our public officials sometimes do. They make the decision here and then go out and say, hey, what do you think of the decision we already made? And then we wonder why people are apathetic. Instead of idea city, give us your ideas. How can we make this better? How can we make that better? If public government wants to really make impact and sustain, I would strongly suggest it's going to be by understanding what the times require. People want to be involved. People want to have a say. No, they don't. They're apathetic. You know why they're apathetic? Because they think no one's going to pay attention to what they say anyways, that it's already been decided. Now, I'm not beating anybody up right now. The same is true in a company. The same is true in a company or a nonprofit or a social profit organization. To whatever degree possible, you can involve people in the process, the greater likelihood they'll give their all to you. So, I've just given you a simple way. Now, obviously, you're going to get a video on this sometime in the 3 weeks to explain this to a deeper degree and give you some ways to set up the room. I'll actually tell you how to set the room up to make it more conducive. I'll actually give you questions that you can ask so that you elicit certain responses to give you greater insight and greater wisdom. We'll break it down to that depth. But the concept that I need you to grab today is we cannot continuously improve. We cannot Kaizen or Kaizen. We cannot Arte. We cannot sojourn. We cannot do what the legacy societies do unless we as community builders have systems and processes and tools in our toolkit to be able to elicit good ideas. And they can't just be ideas from me. And then slowly but surely we begin to change the culture of blame in our community that beats the crap out of anybody that comes up with a new idea. So take a look when this comes out. It's integral in continuous improvement. The capacity and ability to tap into the collective intelligence is integral. Now look what it says here. Good plans shape good decisions. That's why good planning helps to make elusive dreams come true. Good plans shape good decisions. That's why good plans help make elusive dreams come true. The problem is that I can sit up in my office and come up with the greatest plans, pat myself in the back, and then when they roll out, they fall apart at implementation because I never got the participation of the people that would be executing the plan. And then as I do that over and over again, I undermine self-reliance, I undermine self-determination, I take away any opportunity for pride, and I make up half-hearted and half-wisdom, half-minded plans that fail regularly. So all the stakeholders do this. Why are we going to do another one of your plans, dude? It doesn't work. Am I right about that, Jeff? And that's in a community, that's in a company, that's in a nonprofit, hell, that's in a family. How do you know this, Ian? Because I've done bad plans. Because I've done bad plans. And the ones that were usually the home runs were the ones where I got as many people involved in the process as possible. That's unwieldy and impossible to control. Yes. Unless you have a system. Unless you have a process. That's why I'm going to give you a process for tapping into the collective intelligence. Gathering thoughts, ideas, and concerns. I'm going to give you a process and a system for doing what I just said. Holding that meeting. I'll lay it out for you over the next 3 weeks so that you're equipped to tap into collective intelligence. Because if I can get you as a community builder to be able to tap into the collection of collective intelligence of 20 people in your community, good ideas are going to come. 50 people in your community, good ideas are going to come. 100 people in your community, good ideas are going to come. If you're just the guy or the gal that can be the catalyst for the good idea to come, you'll be amazing. And people will love you. And that's the only reason I made it in business, was because I got good at tapping into the collective intelligence of the busboy, the bellman, the operator, the dealer, the cocktail waitress. Just get good ideas. All right, quickly. Here's something that you can do, a little exercise that you can do that can help you with this idea of continuous improvement. Regardless of your title or responsibility, you as a leader, you are a leader. Regardless of your title or responsibility, you are a leader. Informal leader. I've been preaching that this whole 13 weeks. As a leader, you must continually improve. As an informal leader, you must continually improve. So here's some quick questions you can answer. List 3 resources you could use to continually improve. You don't have to write it down right now, but sometime in the next couple weeks, what are 3 resources? Is there a person that can help you continuously improve? Is there a series like this could help you continuously improve? Are you going to come back and revisit these videos every couple weeks to continuously improve? What are you going to do? What are the resources you could tap into? A professional organization? A service club you could join? Or maybe just get 5 guys around you that meet with you every Tuesday morning for the next 50 years. How many of you know a group like that? What resources are you going to tap into? List 3 actions you're going to take. You're going to read a book this summer? You're going to read a book? Or maybe you're going to go up on a mountaintop every other day to help you meditate. What are you going to do? What are the actions? So what are the resources? What are the actions you're going to take? And then what are 3 steps? And it says department there. But I'll say department or organization, community, or family. What are 3 steps you're going to do? I'll give you, I think I already told you guys this, but I'll tell it to you again. No, maybe I didn't tell you this. You know what we're going to do this summer with our kids? This summer with our kids, we're going to put up on a whiteboard at the beginning of every day. What did you do creative? What did you do educational? What did you do spiritual? What did you do athletic? What did you do to help another person? And at supper that night, they got to tell us each one of those things. What'd you do? And then we put a topic at the bottom, and they have to be able to speak about that topic at the end of the day. That's like going to school. You know what? They've already excited about it. They're already excited about it because it's a system for them continuously improving. So whether it's in your family or whether it's in your organization or whether it's in the community, list 3 steps you could take to continually improve. That's the simplicity of it. What are you going to do to continuously improve? And here's a quick little worksheet that you could use with volunteers, you could use with your family members, you could use within your organization. What are you going to do? Individual responsibility, collective accountability, but what am I going to do? And here's a little worksheet that you can utilize. All right, we got about 2 minutes left. Security is mostly a superstition. It does not exist in nature, nor do the children of men as a whole experience it. Avoiding danger is no safer in the long run than outright exposure. My point is this: sitting on your couch doesn't make the world a better place. Being silent doesn't make the world a better place. The world's only better when you get up, shout out, and step up. When you make a commitment to always moving things forward. Even if you perceive it's not broken, because you know the pressure will come at some point. You see, I don't need to clean that light today, but I better clean it the day before it's noticeably dirty. Because once it's noticeably dirty, what happens, Jeff? The perception that somebody has is already there. So when we don't paint, like Michael's point, when we don't clean up the town, when we wait for it to be noticeably dirty, the perception of it being dirty has already been planted. That's why continuous improvement or preventative maintenance or any of the way you want to call it is critical to both tangible infrastructure of a community and the intangible infrastructure of a community. The tangible infrastructure of a business or company or social profit organization, or the intangible infrastructure of a business, nonprofit, or social profit organization within a community or within a family. The tangible structure, like I need to take care of my house this weekend. I hear you, Gina. I got to handle the tangible infrastructure and the intangible, maintaining my family. All right, turn the page very quickly. You remember these questions from a long time ago, but I'm bringing them back to you. And the last thing that I'll ask you to do towards the end of the 3 weeks that we have, I'm going to come to your town next week. We're going to see each other, but then you'll get 1 or 2 emails after that. The last thing I'm going to ask you to do is answer these questions. So I introduced them to you and you thought about them at the beginning of the program. And now that you've gone through it, I'm going to ask them to you at the end. And this is when I want you to send them to me. So we'll give you a link. You'll fill it out. More for you than for me. What will be your greatest contribution to your family? Community builder. The most important thing you can build in a community is your family. What will be your greatest contribution to those that you serve? We all serve somebody. And why are they better off to have you serving them? What will be your greatest contribution to those that you've led? We talked about that just 2 days ago. Why should someone be proud to work for or work with you? What contribution? What will be your greatest contribution to those that you've led? In today's day and age, where you're lucky to have me as the attitude, what would be your greatest contribution to your organization? Why is your organization better? What idea, what concept, what process? Well, I put in a good day's work for a good day's pay. That's not what I'm talking about. How did you move the organization forward? What idea, concept, system, process did you improve in the time that you were within the organization? And then finally, what will be your greatest contribution to your community? What will be your greatest contribution to High River a year later? What will be your greatest contribution to Vermilion? What will be your greatest contribution to Bonneville or Cold Lake or the MD? What will be your greatest contribution to Grand Prairie? How about Stony Plain in Parkland County? What will be your greatest contribution? I pay my taxes. Yeah, you're a rate payer. If your greatest contribution is you pay your taxes, then you're just a rate payer. You're not a citizen. If you're a citizen, then you realize that the community is a direct reflection of you. If you're a citizen, you realize that people who never see you, never talk to you, never meet you, are impacted by your ways and what you do with your life. Those kids that we saw in the video have made a decision that they're going to help kids that they might never meet by raising funds to deploy a program to help with bullying. They're a citizen. They're citizens. I didn't say it was easy. The problems are too complex and too multifaceted. That's why I'm talking about tapping into the collective intelligence. But in this exercise, you'll get it towards the end of the 3 weeks. There'll be a link, and you tell me, what are going to be your greatest contribution? I'm not asking you to change the whole big bad world. I'm just asking you to handle your little corner of it. This is our last broadcast. We're done. No more Chubby Brown Man. No more Chubby Brown Man. No more, after the next couple weeks, no more emails, but certainly it's our last broadcast. I want to thank the people that have helped make this happen. I want to thank Yvonne Pfizer, director of the initiative in the province of Alberta, and all of her energy and effort that she's put in to making this happen over the last year. I want to thank Jeff and Keith and Darla in the studio and their incredible professionalism. And there's been crises you didn't even know about, but they kept the stream going. They're incredible to work with. I want to thank Stephanie Matley. Stephanie's the one that makes sure your username and password gets corrected right away and that you get a new, login and all that stuff. She's great at what she does. And she'll be handling your certificates as well. I want to thank Jeff Dudley for creating such an interactive learning platform and portal that we can deploy so easily. And finally, I want to thank Gina Lopez Hill, who, without the support that she gives, the insight and her wisdom, and frankly her permission, we wouldn't do this crazy stuff. So thank you, Gina. Thank you to all the committees that were willing to take a risk and take a chance on doing a crazy program that was a lighthouse project and trying to establish an emerging practice. I know this thing isn't perfect. I know we got a lot of work to improve it. There's still some things that just aren't where they need to be. But I know this, the results are coming. They're coming, and they're coming. And they're coming because of the committee's willingness to try it. And frankly, they're coming because of you. So finally, I'd like to thank you for participating. I'm true when I say, and I'm sincere when I say, that we love you. We love you and your willingness to give back to your community. We love you and your willingness to learn. We love you and your willingness to lighten the burden of your fellow man. Not by demanding that somebody else does it, but by equipping yourself so you can do it. So with that, I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Come to the celebrations. Whether you've watched one video, watched one thing, come. Bring your friends and family. Let's make it a good old time. And I thank you again for the commitments that you've made. We'll see you soon. Take care, everybody.
There comes a moment when my heart must stand alone on this lonely path I've chosen, like a house that's not a home. Et quelquefois quand j'en ai assez, que je